last lap now of Business Morning, a special edition of the program coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja, venue of the World Pension Summit Africa Special, which kicked off today. Of course, the summit has begun already with the welcome address by the Director General of PENCOM, Chinelu Anohu Amazu, and of course there's going to be various plenary sessions held today. There are about 2 plenary sessions that will be held, focusing on reforms and developments in African pension systems, as well as global developments in pensions and key challenges for African pension systems coverage and investment. We're still talking about how all of this can play out for us here in Nigeria. I still have here with me in the studio Professor Mohammed Kauje. He's a Commissioner Inspectorate of PENCOM. Thank you so much, Professor Mohammed, for staying with me in the studio. Now, just before we went on that quick break, we talked about what the Inspectorate is doing with regards to punitive measures against PFAs who do not comply with laid down rules by PENCOM. But let's talk about this infrastructure funding. I spoke to Mr. Yola, the former chairman of Pension Operators Association of Nigeria, and he talked about the fact that there's still not enough investment room, especially since we have challenges now with infrastructure. There's been a lot of conversation, a lot of calls with regards to that. So what is PENCOM doing?
Now, first I want to assure you that we in the National Pension Commission are committed to the investment of some of these pension funds in the development of infrastructure. But then before you do that, you have to come up with guidelines, because don't forget, the most important thing is to ensure the safety of the money and to make sure that the money is invested in a very, very low risk investment process. So we are committed to investment in infrastructure, because instead of leaving 5 trillion naira lying fallow, we can as well invest it in infrastructure, but then you have to come up with the investment guidelines.
But for how long will it take before those guidelines come out?
We have come up with the new investment guidelines, the so-called multi-fund structure. We have finished doing all the background work. We have exposed it to operators, to pension operators. They have given us their comments, and we are now collating it. You see, I can understand the hurry, I can understand why you want us to do it, but at the same time, think about also the fiduciary responsibility. We don't want to just rush into something just to come and regret later. We want to make sure that all safety valves are in place before we actually plunge into it. So I assure you that PENCOM is committed to the investment of pension funds in infrastructure, and we have worked out the guidelines. We are at the final stages of collating the reaction, or the reaction of other players in the system, and in a very short time we are going to release the guidelines, and then we'll be cooking with gas.
Incidentally, that's what the keynote address is going to be all about. It's going to be about leveraging pension funds for infrastructure and real estate development, and a lot of Nigerians are very particular about it, and it's very good that you actually pointed out that funds that are lying fallow should actually be, channeled into productive areas. How about investing in the equities and the fixed income segments of the market as well?
That's okay. That does not mean the fact that we are going to invest in infrastructure and housing does not mean other avenues of investment are short. You understand? By the nature, that is why I say we have a multi-fund investment structure. What that means is, depending on, you have to sit down and do some very serious estimates and calculation to find out, for example, within the next 3 years, how many people are going to retire, what amount of money do you have, and that one will now have to be moved to retiree fund, and then the other funds will now be available for investment in infrastructure and housing. So what I am saying in effect is that, as simple as it sounds, we want to invest 5 trillion in infrastructure. There are so many things that we need to take into account. What if you invest and before maturity some people retire? What do you do? The whole idea is to be able to pay people pension as and when due. So all those things will have to be taken into consideration before we plunge into investment in infrastructure. But we're irrevocably committed.
Okay, so I don't mean to put you under pressure or put PENCOM under pressure, but you see, a lot of Nigerians are very keen to know what the timeline is. Is it in the short to medium term, or is it a medium to long term plan or framework?
In my estimation, in a very short time, I told you we've we've almost finalized the what we have to do on the investment guideline, and I think in the next couple of months or so, the guidelines should be out and people should be in business.
So just as we round up the conversation for this morning, talk to us about how PENCOM will be supporting this new administration.
We have gone to Mr. President, we have briefed Mr. President, and we also understand that we can work together for example, in areas of infrastructure. The pension fund is there. We have about just slightly over 5 trillion naira. We can sit down and probably inject something into the economy, so that government will use that fund to better the condition of Nigerians. So what I'm saying is we are irrevocably committed to the program of the present government in the provision of housing and infrastructure to its populace, and I think we have a
new administration with regards building a formidable pension administration. Of course, we're live in the nation's capital, Abuja, where the World Pension Summit Africa Special has begun. We're taking you live now to where the summit has actually started, and that's in the Congress Hall, where the welcome address is being read. And of course, we've got a couple of plenary sessions, but most importantly, for the morning session, we have the keynote address being delivered by Dr. Gerald Lyons. He is an expert on global economy, financial markets, and policy, and he's also an advisor to Boris Johnson, the Mayor of London. He's speaking on leveraging pension funds for infrastructure and real estate development. Don't forget, you can follow proceedings at this summit. Watch us live on m.channelstv.com, and don't forget to send us your comments as well, so that we get to know what your thoughts are with regards to the show. But that's the program. That is Business Morning for now. We take you live into the event center, and the program continues. I'm Harriet Agbenyi. Have a great day.